Hey friends, it's Kelsey. Welcome back to my channel. Kind of wanted to just talk about my experience with bipolar disorder in kind of a very specific way. Some people know that I have it in my real life, other people don't. For no reason. I'm not somebody who's like gonna keep it a secret. I tell people, and then some people I don't tell, and then I just don't know who knows, and then it's just like a thing. But I don't hide it, I'm not embarrassed about it, or I don't feel really weird about it, and that's because I've had the diagnosis now since maybe like late 2016, early 2017, I would guess. So I've had time to sit with it for a while and kind of figure out a lot of the different aspects that kind of come along with being a human with this disorder. I'm not like an expert. All I know is my experience, and experiences are vastly different. Kind of a quick overview if you don't know. Bipolar disorder is kind of like deep depressions and then kind of coming up into either manic or hypomanic episodes depending on what kind of bipolar disorder you have. I have type 2, which just means that you have feelings of lots and lots of energy, decreased need for sleep. You kind of have like an overinflated sense of self, not in a way that you are egotistical, but in a way that you kind of feel like nothing can touch you. And so often people can engage in very risky behaviors when they're in a manic episode. And then you kind of crash and you go into like a really, really deep depression. People who have bipolar disorder don't all fit in a box. No one's experience is the same because it's such a variable disorder. Some people exhibit a set of symptoms that maybe someone else doesn't, and then there's, of course, the possibility of comorbidities, which just is a way of saying that you have another disorder tacked onto that, which is always a treat. Most common being like anxiety and substance abuse. Something that I learned very quickly upon being diagnosed is that I had a very sensitive circadian rhythm, and I feel like that had always been the case for me. It was kind of when I knew that I had bipolar disorder that it really set in and was like, oh yeah, this makes a lot of sense to me. And I think that that's why I value routine. I have like a life procedure that I go through, and I don't like to deviate from that because that can be very uncomfortable for me. Circadian rhythm is basically like your interior biological clock. It's like a 24-hour schedule in your body that maintains things like your metabolism and your sleep cycle and like endocrine and like hormone release and all of that stuff. A biological clock in your body does not just kind of run rampant. It kind of interacts with the stimuli that exist in your world. So it kind of becomes important to sync up the internal clock, your circadian rhythm, and then kind of the lifestyle things, external environment. When those two things kind of don't come together in a way that your body likes, then it can kind of lead to all sorts of disruption. And it's interesting because the more that I kind of started to realize how much I valued routine, the more I kind of started to look into how much of that was a personality thing and how much of that was something that was actually really necessary to me. There has been a lot of evidence that has shown that disruptions in circadian rhythms can influence, in a way, manic and depression episodes. It's been shown that people with bipolar disorder demonstrate biological rhythm-related symptoms, and one of the major ones being sleep-related. There is a decreased need for sleep during a mania episode, and there's also either insomnia or hypersomnia once you are in a depressed episode. And this is thought to be related to disturbances in circadian rhythm in regards to sleep and melatonin production. And the causal relationship is kind of not necessarily clear, obviously, because it's possible that, these sleep disturbances cause mood to be fluctuating, and it's possible that mood fluctuations are what is causing the sleep disturbances. So nobody really knows. That's just the world we live in. But I do find that maintaining routines in the lifestyle aspect and the environmental aspect are the things that I can control, rather than kind of focusing on the biological aspect, which I can't really control. So keeping routines are really beneficial for people who have bipolar disorder because it kind of promotes stability. And some studies have shown that daily routine, focusing on your daily routine, maintaining some sort of consistency can help to actually delay mood fluctuations better than just medication. Bipolar disorder in its very nature is kind of a roller coaster. I have a anxiety disorder on top of that, so there's lots of emotion, lots of buzzing bees of thoughts. It's chaotic, and not just for myself, but for other people who are around me, and having some sort of routine kind of helps keep me more stable. I'm a natural planner. I love being organized. I like kind of having a plan and writing things out, and kind of that's just my jam. I am the queen of lists and calendars, and I have no problem just kind of creating routine. However, it can be hard to kind of maintain some sense of flexibility. I tend to kind of put my routine above most everything else, and I don't like when things are disrupted. That is also kind of not necessarily negatively impacted my life, but it is something that I have to consider when I am trying to make plans or kind of making a change to my routine. I don't think I've been on a vacation in years because I can't handle just being in a new place and being particularly impacted by time change. That's the biggest thing for me. I can go like a few hours in each direction, but beyond that, I'm useless. And taking myself out of that daily life and out of that routine, even though it's something that should be enjoyable, it's not for me. And then it tends to not be for the people around me because it becomes more chaotic. It's hard to make a routine when you are in a manic state because you can kind of be this overinflated sense of grandiosity where you think you have all the time in the world and then some, and you think you can fit so much into such little time. I want to learn every skill in the world during a manic episode, and that's just not possible. That's not reasonable. And so keeping a routine kind of simple is really key for me, and I try not to be overly specific. So when I'm trying to create a routine, I don't kind of break it down to the very minute. I think that is kind of sets myself up for failure. I want to be able to make a routine that is not a pain to create or follow. I feel like there's also this pressure to keep a schedule to the pace of everybody else around you. People who do not have the same experience of your disorder as you do. You can't really live your life based on what other people are doing on their timeline. It's tough because not only are we faced with a lot of what other people in our lives are doing at their timeline, but then there's also this kind of societal norm of this is how long it takes you to do this, and then you do this, and that's how long it takes. And for people who suffer from a chronic illness of any kind or just kind of life, things don't work out that way. That is not how the world works. And I think kind of detaching yourself from that and staying in your lane and doing what you can do is probably what's going to best serve you. Comparison, isn't there like a saying that's like comparison is the thief of joy? I don't know. I think that unhealthy comparison can be really hurtful. And sometimes for myself, if I can get out of bed, take my meds, and shower and eat something green, then that's a win for the day. But yeah, thank you for watching my rambling if you even made it this far. I guess I just kind of made this video because I think that it's super valuable, something that I didn't really learn until later than I would have liked, and it's been something that has helped me so much. And I think that even if you are completely typical, healthy, a human, I think that routine is still really valuable because it can kind of offer some structure and help in forming just habits that then become really just automatic. I hope that this video was helpful for people who are kind of managing bipolar disorder in their life, or informative for people who don't and who maybe kind of want to understand a little bit more about the experiences of people who struggle with bipolar disorder. If you have any questions, just leave them down in the comments, like this video if you feel like it, and subscribe if you feel like it, and I will see you in the next one.